the last monthly budget review of 2022. It is no secret that 2022 was not the best year for me financially. It was still good, don't get me wrong, but I just, compared to 2021, it was just a bit of a tank, but that is okay. Now that it's January, we can fully go through December's budget review. So I'm going to pull up that right now. All right, every time we start at the top with income, and my biggest source of income at the moment is my W-2 job. I always have a goal of take home of $5,360 a month. And in December, I brought home $6,125. And I always explain this is after I've made 401k investments, and my car insurance comes out of that as well, just because I have a corporate discount. So it's an automatic deduction through work, which is nice. So I do have car insurance. It's just not in my monthly bills because it's automated and I don't think about it. So just have to get that out of the way. And then my next source of income is from my one rental property that I have so far. And I have a goal of making $459.24. So that is rent minus the mortgage minus the property management fee. The rest of that equals $459.24, which is exactly what I got for December, which is great. And as a note, going forward, my tenant signed a 2-year lease, and her second year starts this month in January. So her rent was agreed to be stable for 2023 as well. So that should be the same amount going forward, as long as, I don't know, maybe the property manager will increase their fees this year. Who knows? Either way, it should be pretty much the same, but obviously I'll update you guys if there are any changes to that. And then my next source of income is YouTube. So I always just have been putting a goal of $100, which is the minimum payout threshold. So YouTube pays a month behind. So this income is from the month of November, and I brought home $149.54, which is wonderful. And then we can go down to expenses. Actually, before we do that, so a total take home of $6,734. And you guys know that rental income is all 100% being saved in an account specifically to save up for a down payment on my next property. And then the YouTube income, I am designating all to my emergency fund, but we'll touch more on that in a minute. Now back to the expenses. Of course, my largest expense is housing. So my rent is $15.25, which is what I paid. Electricity, I budget $60, and it was only $45.29. Internet, $59.99. Mohila is my student loan servicer. You all know I only have federal student loans left. They're all with Mohila. And of course, the forbearance continues for another 6 months or so, whatever it is. So $0 payment there. Gym, $22.99. Netflix, $19.99. And now groceries and food is where things start to get variable. I didn't do terrible this month. $429.02. Only because I spent 6 days in Florida with my parents and they would not let me pay for a single thing. But so that helped. That actually got me under budget for one of very, very few months in 2022 where I was under my food budget. In fact, it might have been the only month. I don't really remember, but that's great. Gas and car wash, I budget $150. Spent $115.48. Again, that week in Florida helped quite a bit because obviously I didn't have my car there. Pet supplies, I budget $25, but I did have to make a Chewy order, so I spent $63.47. Massage, I budgeted $115, but the last several months we've been doing a 90-minute massage, so it's $168 with the tip and everything, and I have adjusted that for January's budget going forward, but for December it was still at $115, so we did go over, but whatever. Invest, I have a monthly goal of investing $100. In December, I actually invested $400, and the note is out of frame, but it was all to my Roth IRA, which I will touch more on in a minute also. And then I always have a goal of donating $50, which is exactly what I did. Of course, that goes to Layla until she is debt-free. She's getting there. It's very exciting. Savings. you all know this was my whole opinion of it not being a strong financial year for me was based around my student loan savings and not hitting my $30,000 goal for the year of savings for student loans. And I really just gave up on it at the end, and I'm okay with it. I did pretty good. I do have a video coming up in a few days, probably I'll make it, covering 2022's finances as a whole for the whole year. And I'll talk more about where I actually landed with student loan savings as well as everything else in that video. But in December, I just saved zero, and there's more of a reason for that in just a second. But for now, personal spending, $300, and I did go a bit over, which I'm okay with, not bad. You guys know, starting January 1st, so right now I am in a low buy year where I am intentionally making it a point to stick under a $300 a month personal spending goal. And so December was really my last month where I'm kind of like, whatever about blowing that goal. Not that it was terrible, but it still was over budget. So I'm really excited about the low buy. It's going well so far, and I know there's a ton of you joining us, which is amazing. So that is a collab with 3 other YouTubers, which I made a whole video on. So if you guys are curious about that, you can go and check it out. Actually, I'll link it down below for you guys. But anyway, then the other category. I always just have this in case shit comes up, which it always seems to. And if you guys have been following, you know shit came up this month. So, in fact, $1,074 worth of shit. Again, the note's out of frame, but if you remember the flat tire situation, the only downside of an all-wheel drive vehicle is when one goes down, all 4 go down. And so I had to spend I didn't have to. I spent $840 on new tires because they are high quality and like 75,000 mile capability supposedly. So I did splurge a little bit on those, but it wasn't like that much more expensive than the cheaper ones, but quality all day for me. So anyway, that was $840. And then the next thing, the other item, next one down, you can't quite read, it's car security. So my car it costs $150 per year. When I bought the car, I got 3 years of it free, and that 3 years was up in December. So it was the first time I had to make that payment of $150, and it's not something I needed, but I do like it because through the app on my phone, I can lock or unlock my car from anywhere, and I can start my car from anywhere. Being someone who lives in New England and hates being cold, especially when I'm leaving work at 10:30 p.m. or 6:30 a.m. in the dead of winter and it's minus degrees outside, you best believe I'm starting that bitch before I leave the building because, woo, and it just helps, get it defrosted and all that. By the time you get there, it's really warmed up and easy to scrape off and be on your way. Way over justification on my cold fearing ass, but that's just how it is. I'm totally fine with paying $150 per year for that going forward. So now that I have remembered it's a thing going forward, I'll be prepared for it next year. And then this medical bill was like $84 because something my insurance didn't cover. That being said, this whole category of other going forward, all 3 of those things could have come from one of my sinking funds that I have not been working on for the last couple of years. So either the car button medical one or the annual expenses one. So now I've dumped that car security thing into my annual expenses running tally. So it's going to be covered with my annual expenses sinking fund going forward once I get those suckers fully funded, which is, as I've mentioned before, my top priority starting this month here in January, for the first 6 months, I want to make sure I really get those sinking funds fully funded. So I'll talk more about those in just a second. But my next category down is my debt. Y'all know student loans. I still owe $160,400.22. It's actually, my employer made one more payment, I think, in December. Did I forget? No, that is right. Anyway, so I had a goal for 2022 of saving that $30,000, like I mentioned, but I did not. I started December with $28,650 saved for them, but $4,800 of that is left over from 2021. So I didn't save that much this year, but that's okay. And then in December, I was able to add $68, and I did not add it. That is the interest that the account gained in the month of December. It is with, it's a Capital One. What the heck is it called? I used to call it money market because I thought it was. It's not a money market account. It's like a accelerated savings, I think they call it. So it has 3-ish% interest, APY or something like that. But anyway, for those of you that do occasionally ask why I haven't been paying down my student loans and I've just been saving for them, that's why. It's because my money is making me money in a high yield account. So that $68 brought it up to $28,718 saved for student loans. And if you subtract that from what I owe, that'd be $131,750.22 to go. Still daunting. That's okay. Now the sinking funds that I had mentioned. Emergency fund, $10,000 goal. We started December with $2,865. And I ended December $3,117, and the it's $149 an increase. Is that right? $249 an increase, and that is from the $149.54 from YouTube. That paycheck gets completely dumped in my emergency fund, plus another $100. I do believe Carol Woodward donated to me through the Super Thanks option, and I always match that. So I put at least $50. So obviously I put $100 of my own money in there for one reason or another. So we're getting there. $6,883 to go. And then the car, vet, and medical fund. I would like to have $2,000 in. I started December with $0, but you guys know since I had given up on student loan savings for December, I decided to put $400 into that fund. So that's cool. $1,600 to go there. That was after the tire situation, of course. So it wasn't there to cushion the tire situation, but it's okay. We'll have it going forward for 2023. And then annual expenses, I'd like $2,000 for that. And I started with $0 and I'm ending with $0 because that'll be my focus. Right now in January, my focus is that car, vet, and medical, and then I'll move on to the annual expenses. And then my travel fund, I had $50 in it, and then that trip to Florida, I put that $50 in there for the airport parking when I left my car, and it only cost me $35, so it has $15 in there. Woo! Roth 2022 obviously had a $6,000 contribution limit. I started December with a total contribution of $950, and I ended December with $1,350, and that's that $400 of investment that I had mentioned earlier. So grossly underfunded, but I'm gonna make a whole video on this. You guys know I go back and forth about my retirement accounts, but it's just not a hot priority for me because I'm already almost 40 years old. I don't have the lucky advantage of time in the market like all you 20-somethings and 30-somethings. I still think it's valuable and important, and I always get my employer match with my 401k, but just as a side note, retirement accounts are just not all that beneficial for my goals at this point in my life. And I'll leave it at that. We can debate that shit all day in the comments. We don't have to. It's not going to change my opinion, but I know not everyone feels the same. I'm just sharing my situation and my opinion on my situation. Now, I usually go over to the big overall year spreadsheet, but I'm not going to do that in this video just because like I mentioned, I am going to make over the next few days a whole 2022 finances year in review video. So I'll just save it for that. And I'm excited to share with you guys like how my net worth changed over the year and all of my other various financial goals. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you're not already. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to comment down below what goals you hit or had and didn't maybe hit, but you're still excited about, because any tiny bit of progress is progress, no matter what. Share those down in the comments. I love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.